What's up, everybody? Welcome to BioS 3 Raw TV. Well, today we're going to talk about something that I've actually spoken about on my Instagram before. I know a lot of you here don't actually follow me on Instagram. And actually, a lot of you don't even have Instagram. Because I've had people say stuff like, well, I don't have Instagram. And I've had people say, well, I don't have YouTube. And I'm like, technically, you don't need to have YouTube to see YouTube. But anyways, so about 3 months ago now, we're heading into October. So 3 months ago, I decided to do an experiment. And this was right around when people were arguing whether or not sugar is addictive, right? There were people saying, science says sugar is not addictive. Now, we have data that says it is addictive. We have data now that says it isn't addictive. And I think really it just boils down to the person. I don't think that everyone in the world can get addicted to sugar, just like everyone in the world can't get addicted to opiates. Everyone in the world is not going to get addicted to alcohol. But if your brain chemistry is wired towards alcohol, then guess what? You're probably going to get addicted to alcohol and become an alcoholic. If your brain chemistry is wired towards sugar, guess what? You're probably going to become a sugaraholic. I don't know what you would call it, but somebody that can't say no to sugar, and once they get a little bit, they're off and running, they can't stop themselves. There's also people that if your brain is wired like opiates, like mine is, you're going to be more apt to being addicted to painkillers, heroin, stuff like that. Like cocaine didn't get me, opiates did. Alcohol didn't get me, opiates did. Now, the reason why I wanted to see whether or not sugar would be addictive to me personally was I've told a story about we ran out of heroin. We ran out of Oxycontin, actually Oxycontin and heroin at the same time. And a buddy of mine had literally gotten Oxycontins from his doctor and sold about 3/4 of them to people that he knew. And then he himself had a habit. So when he ran through all his shit, now he was calling the people that he sold them to get them back. He was actually paying twice what they paid him. So he was actually losing money to get him back. And we had to go drive to New Jersey to get them, right over the border of New Jersey, New York, New Jersey. And when I got in the truck with him, we were in withdrawals, and he had this box of cookies with him, like a big ass fucking box of cookies. And he was like, eat the cookies. And he was like a pro at this. He's like, it'll help with the withdrawal symptoms. And I'm like, what the fuck? He's like, the sugar helps with the withdrawal symptoms. So I'm like, so we started eating these fucking cookies, and lo and behold, they didn't knock the withdrawals away, but it lightened up the feeling from the withdrawals. And I thought to myself, I was like, this is really fucking weird. Sugar's having an effect on my brain like opiates do. Like it's helping to ease the opiate withdrawal. So now, I didn't think much about it. I've gone through, like, I'm not a big sugar person. That's the thing. It's like I was super addicted to opiates, but sugar I could give a fuck less. But so many people out there have said that sugar's addicted to them. They're a sugar addict, right? Something like that. I call it a sugaraholic, sugar addict, whatever. So I was like, well, if it helped my brain during the withdrawals, then, maybe I just don't take in enough sugar for a long enough period of time regularly to get that effect where I can't give up the sugar. So let's see if I can addict my brain to sugar, which, I mean, you're going to be like, Jerry, you're fucking trying. My wife went to work and she was like, yeah, my husband's trying to addict himself to sugar. And her friends were like, what? Why the fuck would he do that? She's like, I don't know, some experiment he's doing. And interesting enough, her friends now follow up and say, hey, is he hooked on sugar yet? Like, they're interested because everybody, I think, has something that they just can't give up. They have some kind of vice that they just have a hard time getting rid of, right? So what I did was I wanted to know whether or not it would be sugar, a specific food that contains sugar, right? And the third thing that I'm going to talk about after, because it really doesn't have to do with the sugar itself, but it's something different that I think actually is the culprit of what happens to me. Now, I have these cookies that are paleo, vegan, blah, 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 crazy fucking cookies, whatever, but there's sugar in them. And they are a very natural, version of a cookie, but it's still a fucking cookie. Cookie's a cookie, right? Chocolate chip cookies from Earth Fare, and it's like a bakery around here that makes them that are fresh baked, whatever. So you're like, okay, they're good, they taste good, they get sugar in them. Chocolate chip cookies. Who the fuck can't get addicted to chocolate chip cookies? Let's try that, right? So what I did was I started having, at the end of the night, when I was all done with my work and stuff, I usually have my final meal at like 1 o'clock in the morning, 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, maybe 1:30 at the latest. I was like, after that meal, I'm literally going to have one or two of these cookies every fucking night. And I'm going to do that for 3 months fucking straight. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that shit out like that. Cold turkey, I'm going to stop that shit and see what my reaction is to it. So if I start to think about, oh shit, we're out of cookies, and I go to the fucking store to buy them, that's not a typical behavior for me. If I run out of a fucking food, I go, whatever, I fucking eat something else. I'm not going to go to the store specifically to buy them because I feel like I want them or need them. I'm not going to make a special trip. So that would be a behavior that wouldn't normally be me. And I'm not saying addicted, but I'm saying I'm already starting to exhibit behaviors that are out of the norm for me over a fucking food after being on it for a certain amount of time. Now, what comes after that, right, is to really just remove it from your diet altogether. Cold turkey, just stop. So when you run out of them, you run out of them. Not planned, right? Not planned because you have an idea that it's coming and you can just stop. No, they just, you run out of them. So 3 months goes by. I'm eating these fucking cookies. I'm letting people in my life around me know what's going on, especially my wife, so she can see firsthand what sugar does to me or doesn't do to me, right? So she can also be on the lookout for behaviors that I normally wouldn't exhibit that I may not be seeing. Because if you actually get addicted to something, you rationalize stuff, you make these narratives, like you do whatever you can to keep that thing in your life, including manipulate the ones around you. So I want her to be aware that if I'm starting to fucking rationalize shit and fucking trying to make her think this is a good idea, and like if I'm exhibiting behavior that's not me and making it try to fit, that's a sign that something is wrong, right? So the time came last week where I was running out, fucking ate them, ran out, forgot what was going on, ran out. Knew that I was out of the cookies, right? So now I fucking drive home, didn't give any thought to the cookies until it was time to eat them at 1:30 at night. And said, okay, there's no cookies. Oh well. Like it didn't, like I wasn't like, oh fuck, Then I thought maybe because the cookies are gone, maybe I'll look for another form of sugar because the cookies may not have it, but your brain wants sugar. So it's not going to give a fuck whether it's a cookie, whether it's a fucking Twizzler, whether it's like, just a teaspoon of sugar thrown in your mouth, like whatever. It's not going to give a shit. It's going to want that sugar. And what was interesting was there were other things in the house, including these like little wafer fucking things that we had that somebody brought back for us from Japan. Yumi brought those back. Yumi brought them for like these candy wafer things from Japan, which have sugar in them. Didn't fucking eat those. There was other things in the house that had sugar in it, and I didn't give a fuck. Instead, what I did was I had made my Nutrition Solutions meal, and when I was done with that, I literally went, what else do I want? Well, I really don't want anything else, so I'm going to have a fucking half a liter of water and fucking go to bed. And I did. So what was interesting was I wasn't looking for anything else, but I still felt like, and this is the weird part, I drank that half a liter of water even though I wasn't thirsty. And it didn't make any sense to me because I already felt kind of bloated because I already drank a whole liter of water with it. So it's a liter and a half of water, but I drank that other half a liter of water. And I was like, what the fuck? I just drank and went to bed. But the next day I woke up and I was like, that was kind of weird behavior for me. Why would I drink that water? Like there's no sugar in it. Like it didn't do anything to my brain. Weird. So the next night comes and of course I'm already like, I'm not thinking about it. I didn't go buy more at the store. The cookies weren't on my mind. I didn't give a fuck. Still have shit in the house like those candies and stuff. Not looking for it. And except this time I was like, let me just see if like for some reason like the water was like I was picking the water over this other shit. What the fuck? So time came, I ate my Nutrition Solutions meal and I noticed I was looking for something after it. After the meal. Now usually I would have the cookie and the night before I had the water. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So now I'm starting to question myself, like my sanity going, what is wrong with you? Like, are you addicted to cookies? Like, what the fuck is going on? And I had to really kind of pay attention to what the fuck was going on. I realized it was the ritual of having the meal, then something after it. So I had the meal, then the water. I was creating a ritual, which for me, I like things very by the book, right? I like them when they're planned out. I have, structure. That is what I like in my life. So when I put something in there, when I take it out, even though that thing I ran out of, I still want to have something there structure-wise to have two things going on during that meal. And it really, really started me thinking, I was like, holy shit, this opens up a whole new thing. That's the third thing. It wasn't sugar, it wasn't cookies, it was ritual for me that gets me to the point where, now don't get me wrong, the dependency on a chemical is still going to be there. Like I can't say that like, well, it was ritual for heroin, but we'll get into that in a second. It's the ritual of having something there. So another very good way that I can explain this was, there's a place called Chopped Salads here. C-H-O-P-T, Chopped here in DC. You guys probably have them around here and stuff. It's a chain, a franchise. and they have a Caesar salad that I like to get. Now, my buddy Bobby, I actually went there with him for lunch, and I found out that this place existed. So I had the Caesar salad. So one night, I decided to stop after my clients. It's on the way home in Maryland, on the way home to Virginia. I stopped. I got the chicken Caesar salad. I drove it home. I ate it. Had dinner with Erin. I was eating that. She was eating her dinner. And I realized the next night, I stopped for a salad again. First of all, I liked the salad. I didn't have to make it. It was easy to do. It was light. Cool. Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night. I spent like $70 that week on salads. And then it didn't dawn on me. I'm like, yeah, I like Caesar salads, but these are not the fucking greatest things in the world. It's not like fucking, you can't live without them. Why the fuck am I buying these things, right? I mean, they're okay, but I could eat something at home. And I realized driving from the gym to Chopped, from Chopped out, up, down that other road, I had created a ritual of doing that before going home. And I was like, the ritual of doing that, bringing it in the house, sitting down, I had set up structure, ritual for myself just by, I found something that I liked. I immediately set up a ritual for it. So I was like, it's not the salad that I'm crazy about. It's the fucking ritual. Like, son of a bitch. So I started really racking my brains. Have I always been like this? How did I do this? So I believe, honestly, it stems from like when I was a kid. Like I like to have things my way, done a certain way. And once I find a way to do certain things, now have learned that way, it's easier to do that than to do something new. So you get into that ritual because it's easy and comfortable. Now, another thing that, makes my brain kind of, makes me understand what's going on is the ritual of when I was on heroin. I would run out of heroin and actually do the ritual of putting the spoon, putting the water in it with a cotton ball, soaking up the water and shooting the water. And I actually feel better because of the ritual of it. Not because of the actual drug that was in it. There was no drug in it. There was nothing left in it. So this whole time I've been doing things ritual based because I have not an OCD, maybe it's an OCD thing, but it's ritual based. So now I'm looking at it as like how many other people out there not necessarily be addicted to sugar, but the ritual of having the cake after the meal, the ritual of having dessert after the meal, the ritual itself, not necessarily the chemical itself, which leads to a whole new understanding of addiction itself, where it might not necessarily be the compound, but it's the ritual. When I didn't have the drug itself, I still did the ritual of getting ready like I had the drug, and I actually felt better. I felt better doing the ritual. When I didn't have the drug and I didn't do the ritual, I started to feel worse. Because actually, the actual, another way I can explain it is, let's say you're actually in withdrawals. The ritual of actually going to get the heroin at the dealer's house, when you're at the house and you have the heroin in your hand and you're on your way back home, as soon as you have it in your hand, you start to feel better. It's the actual ritual of going, paying him, getting it, getting in the car, driving back home. As soon as that ritual starts of that, you start to feel better before the heroin's even in your body. And now I'm looking at it like, okay, this is kind of rolled over into probably a lot of things in my life, maybe a lot of things in your life, maybe a lot of things in everybody's life. We don't know. But we're looking at it is because it's not the chemical itself, because it's not something dangerous, we deem it okay. But if it interferes in our life, we have to have that ritual. Like, I'm looking at it is if I had never eaten those cookies after that meal, I would never have wanted the water. But let's say there wasn't water there, I'd be rummaging looking for something else. Like it's causing me to seek out other things that I normally wouldn't seek out just based on the ritual, but not the chemicals itself. So at this point, I can say, no, my brain did not get addicted to sugar. Despite having like an opiate addiction, my brain being wired that way, my brain did not get addicted to sugar whatsoever, as I literally wanted water instead of sugar just to have something there. And it's the same thing, like I wasn't addicted to a salad. I'm addicted to the ritual itself, and the structure of it is what I kind of live for. So now that's something that I think that, like anything else, once you're aware of it, then you can actually start working on that issue to change your behavior. So now that I'm aware that it's the ritual, I can go, I'm not hungry. I'm not looking for water. I don't need anything. Like, it's just the ritual of doing that. That's so fucking stupid. Then you change the behavior because physically you don't need something physically and mentally right there. You change the behavior because you realize it's just a learned behavior pattern-wise over and over again that you get used to and you do, but you can break that pattern, right? There's nothing chemical about it. I mean, there is something chemical that your brain gets, probably a dopamine release from doing the ritual itself. Just like people with OCD have to flip a light switch on and off, on and off. They can't just break that ritual. That ritual itself is like a drug to their brain. Like, you can't just stop that. But it opens up a whole thing to, sugar's not addictive. Well, maybe it's not addictive to some people. Maybe it's addictive to others. We don't really know. I mean, there's this data that goes both ways. But the bottom line is, I thought it was a good experiment to do. I thought I would share with you guys. Maybe you guys want to try some of this shit on your own. Just be careful, because who knows what the fuck your brain's wired for. Or you could wind up getting addicted to cookies, which would be a total fucking, opposite of what you're probably trying to do, being healthy and staying lean. Getting addicted to cookies is probably not the best thing. But the bottom line is, there's a lot more going on here than we think. That is just a chemical reaction to a flavor, or a chemical reaction to, something that would change hormonally in your brain, whatever the case may be. Just the act of doing something can actually be, like there's people that steal things. They steal things they don't need. You know why? It's the act of it, the actual act of it, the ritual of actually stealing it and getting away with it gives them that rush. So they're getting a chemical rush from an action that they're doing, from a ritual. The ritual gives them a chemical rush. And I'm like, do I get a small chemical rush from doing the ritual? Or do I say, I have everything set a certain way and it makes me feel better to be able to do things on automatic pilot and not have to think, which I think is really my case. Like, I think all day constantly and I have ADD, so my mind is constantly going. So to have things lined up where I don't have to think and I can just go and do, like for me, planning meals instead of IFYM does a great bit of fucking relieving anxiety for me, because I don't have to think about what I'm doing. It's all automatic pilot. So that automatic pilot thing, that my brain goes into is actually, for me beneficial, and I think it's a good thing. But it's also really good to know that, like, look, here's a deal. I can have addictive-like behavior from a ritual and not even have any compounds or anything in my body or any nutrients or whatever in my body. Just the basis of physical things, the basics of physical things that are set in a certain way that I normally do, that I'm on automatic pilot, will keep me on automatic pilot, and that looks like addiction, right? So it's like this whole new thing. So beware, guys. This is going to be something that kind of unfolds over time. It doesn't end here. It's just the beginning of trying to understand how my brain is wired, because now I'm onto something new. The addictive thing to sugar is gone. The ritualistic, I don't want to say movements or patterns. We should say patterns. Ritualistic patterns are something I think that I'm going to have to dig deep into now and start looking at other things in my life to see what other patterns are there. And as long as they're positive for you, I don't really see a problem with it. But if there's negative actions from it, negative reactions from it, then that's something that you can look at as another source of information to know that something else is going on besides what other people may be telling you. It may not be you're addicted to sugar. You may be arguing with them left and right. So I'm not. You may not be. Maybe the ritual itself, and they don't even understand it because you don't understand it. A lot of people don't understand it. I didn't even understand it until now. So let me know what you guys think. Chime in below. Do you guys have a ritual type thing you like to do that you just can't stop? Not OCD, but whatever. Or are you guys out there's certain foods that if you stop, you freak the fuck out and make a special trip in the middle of the night to the grocery store to get it. Let me know what kind of behaviors you guys go through you've seen, because this stuff is super interesting to me. BioStrength@gmail.com. Leave comments down below, but don't fight. BioStrength.com is a blog. It's the new ritual bicep. This is a ritual. Doing the bicep makes me feel good. And we are out.